It's time for you to create your fate.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If we are new friends, I'm life coach Meg Ellis. And this channel is all about giving you the tools to create your absolute best life ever. And if you've noticed, this is not my recording studio. This is actually my home, my office. I live in Houston, Texas, and we've been hit with storm after storm. First, there was this crazy tornado and then this wild tropical storm. And then we actually had a hurricane. So all in the span of about 2 months. And unfortunately, my recording studio did not survive the chaos. So I've been recording the audio version of the show at home. Literally picture me in a closet with a microphone trying to manage 2 crazy dogs. Like, literally, it's been wild. So my new studio is just about ready. And while I've still been streaming the podcast audios on those platforms, I felt called to at least share the audio here with my episode. So while this might not be the best high-tech production over here for a few weeks, I thought it's actually more important to get you the content. So the last couple episodes have actually been really, really good. Some serious drops of knowledge. And I did not want you guys to miss out. So thanks for showing up for me on YouTube. I promise to keep showing up for you even through all this crazy weather. So if you see this video, just know that the audio is about to stream and that I will be back on video in the next couple of weeks. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for sticking around. And of course, I'll be leaving you with one last thing. Expect good things always.
I'm your life coach, Meg Ellis, here to guide you to your best life ever. If you've been wondering if there's more to life out there for you, guess what? There is, and you're in the right place. Get out of your own head and out of your own way to create the life you know you deserve. It's time to create your fate. Welcome back to Create Your Fate, the life coaching podcast designed to give you the tools to create your absolute best life ever. I'm your host, life coach Meg Ellis, and I've helped thousands of people create beautiful and fulfilling lives by applying the law of attraction, the Enneagram, and many other mindset techniques. And today we're going to be talking about fear and why it has so much power over us. What about you? Do you struggle with fear? Where does fear pop up in your life? Is fear holding you back from making big moves that you know would make you so happy, but you just can't seem to talk yourself into it? It feels like you're at the end of this diving board and you're about to plunge into the most refreshing water that has everything that you want in it, but you're looking down from that platform thinking, ooh, was it always this high? What if I belly flop? What if it hurts? What if it doesn't feel as good as I thought it was going to? What if I change my mind when I get there and it's too late? How will I get back up here? And your mind just starts to race and it talks you into not even jumping. And you slowly just start to back up the board and you climb down the ladder. Oof, have I been there? Outside today, we are going to talk about where fear is sneakily showing up in your life, because it's not always these big things. And we're going to learn how to identify as somebody who is overcoming fear and not identify as somebody who is struggling with fear. So that's the first thing. We're going to change the narrative. You're going to reframe how you see fear. You are not somebody who is struggling with fear. You are somebody who's overcoming fear. And we're going to see how that can make a big difference in your life. We're going to develop a plan to actually outsmart the fear, and you're going to learn how to actually analyze risk and the worst case scenario. So you're going to ask yourself this: where is fear showing up in your life? Maybe it's showing up in your professional life. Maybe you want to start a business, you're not making any moves. Maybe asking for a promotion or for a raise. Or even applying for a new job, but you don't think you're going to get it, so you don't go after it. Maybe you don't even ask for it. Maybe fear's popping up in your personal life. Maybe you want to be in a relationship, but fearful that somebody's not going to like you, or maybe that there's not going to be anybody out there for you. You're going to end up alone forever. Maybe it's actually leaving a relationship and you're fearful of what other people might think. or fearful of hurting someone's feelings or making the wrong decision. Like, oh my God, what if I change my mind later? Maybe it's even showing up in your hobbies. You're afraid to try something new. What if I look dumb? What if other people see me looking dumb? What if nobody reads my book? That's one that's been alive for me lately. What if no one thinks this is any good? And if any of this sounds familiar, listen up because I am literally with you. I talked about the Enneagram a little bit on this podcast. It is the most spot on personality test you will ever take. Links in the show notes. But fear has played a huge role in my life because I'm an Enneagram 7. And if you are an Enneagram 5, 6, or a 7, the core emotion, the underlying emotion that literally drives a lot of your actions is actually fear. So fear is this huge negative thought that we have, and we oftentimes don't even think of it as a negative thought, but it's definitely not a positive one. Actually, fear is the number one biggest negative vibration. There's this thing called the emotional guidance scale, and what it does is it ranks each emotion on a vibrational scale. And fear is actually the lowest of the low. It is the most negative emotion that you can actually feel. And it stems from this deep rooted subconscious, right? These beliefs that we end up choosing and they rule our lives. So actually, if you're somebody who's consumed with these negative thoughts, you have got to join my 21-day positive thinking challenge. It gives you all of the tools to actually combat negative thoughts, including thoughts stemmed from fear, right? Those super negative ones, and actually take those thoughts and transform them into a positive mindset. And the best part, you can do this in under 10 minutes a day. It is completely self-guided. You can do it on your own time. But if you join the challenge, you can actually participate with the online group for support and motivation. And it's actually super fun because you get to meet other people who are also in that same space. So that starts on July 22nd, 2024. So if you're hearing this after July 22nd, don't worry. You can actually access the challenge as a course on my website. So that's going to be in the show notes too. You can complete it on your own. So if you want more information, just check out that link in the show notes. You can actually transform your negative thoughts, including ones stemming from fear, into a positive mindset. So you can begin to ditch the fear, ditch the self-doubt, ditch the anxiety, and live a life of confidence, peace, fulfillment. So check out that link in the show notes for more information and see how you can get your special offer to join. Trust me, this challenge is amazing and a lot of my own personal tactics that I have applied because I told you, fear shows up a lot in my life. Like I said, I'm that Enneagram 5, 6, 7. Our core underlying emotion is actually fear. I'm going to share a personal story of where fear has popped up heavily in my life. And I'm actually going to share the tactic that I used that helped me overcome the fear and make a big, big change in my life. And it was around 2017. I had been married for a couple of years. We had moved to Texas. I was actually a dental hygienist. So if you didn't know that, I was a dental hygienist for many years of my life. And, I lived out in the suburbs. I had my semi-new husband at the time. And I went to work, every day, 9 to 5. I did not like that career. I was not fulfilled. So I came home. We would drink a bottle of wine a night. We'd watch TV from, 6 p.m. all the way until we went to bed. And I'd wake up and do it all over again. I'd go to work, come home, same thing. We had a lovely house. We drove nice cars. We made tons of money. And it was fine until it wasn't. Fast forward a couple years, we ended up getting separated. I was still working full-time as a dental hygienist. However, I had started teaching indoor cycling. I became a spin instructor and I had this deep desire to enter into the full-time fitness world. But this is something that my ex-husband he didn't place this fear in my life, but he definitely ignited it of saying, hey, you're never going to really be able to do anything with that. You have this really great job. Don't quit. Stay with this. It's more stable. It's safe. Hey, this thing that you love, just do it part-time. And I had this deep, deep, deep desire to quit my job as a dental hygienist and make something of myself as a spin instructor. And I'm on the verge of quitting my job. I just couldn't pull the trigger. And I'm sitting in this purgatory, all fueled by fear. Oh my gosh, should I quit my job? Should I not? I'm literally dying a slow death every day, 9 to 5, sitting there doing things that are not aligned with my gifts, my skills, my talents, my passion, my purpose, nothing, just kind of killing the clock, right? I was wishing my time away. I was wanting time to move faster. And that's generally a pretty big sign that you're not where you're meant to be because time already moves so fast and we want to appreciate the time. We want good times to move slower. So if you are somebody who is counting your time and wishing it would move faster, that might be a good indication that something has to change in your life. So anyway, back to my story. I'm on the verge of quitting my job, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. And a friend of mine mailed me this book and it changed my life. And this is the technique that I'll be sharing with you in a bit. But this book was meant to help me make a really hard decision. And if I made the choice that I really wanted to make, it would have led to some really, really scary things. So this just kind of broke it down. I was on my own for the first time in years. I was about to take a significant pay cut and a lifestyle change, and it was risky, and I was really afraid. And so I'm talking with my friend, and he's like, okay, so we're talking about this book, and he's asking me, well, what do you want to do? And I told him, hey, I want to be a full-time fitness instructor, and I want to train others to also be fitness instructors and eventually become a master instructor with this company and travel the country. And I'm painting this big picture like, yeah, I get to travel all over. I'm training more instructors. It's going to be awesome. And all the time I want to write this book that I had this idea for, which has been on my heart for years and years and years. I'm like lighting up like a Christmas tree when I'm explaining this to him. We're chatting and he says, okay, well, what's required for me to do that? And I said, well, I would have to quit my stable dental hygiene job and work my way up the ladder in the cycle company. And we're running through all the logistics for this. And he's like, okay, like worst case scenario, if the cycle thing doesn't work out, what do you do? And I sat there and I thought about it. I said, okay, well, if the cycle thing doesn't work out, I guess I would just go back to full-time dental hygiene. And he goes, okay, aren't you doing that right now? And I said, yeah. He goes, okay, why are you living your worst case scenario? And I'm telling you, my life changed upon hearing that. I was actually already living my worst case scenario, my plan B, my backup plan, and I was okay with it. It was fine. And it was completely fueled by fear. So let's break down fear first. What is fear? Why do we fear things in the first place? And I'm actually going to break down 2 types of fear. And I'm going to keep this as basic as possible. But there's 2 types of fear. And the first one is this internal innate fear. And these are the fears that are born into us to mostly serve as some type of survival purpose. And these are called innate fears. Innate fears, they're often surrounding avoiding physical pain or death. So we're going to go back to basic caveman times, right? A lion is chasing you and you're running away and you're filled with what? Fear. And rightfully so. A signal in your brain senses intense pain or actually pending physical death. And it's like, hey, get us out of here. And we are wired to understand that certain things pose as inherent danger and they're not safe for us. And then we actually might die. And that's this innate fear. And these fears are real. And what's the other kind of fear? Literally everything else. Everything else. They're not going to like me. This isn't going to work. My business idea is going to fail. I'm going to get fired. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get rejected. I'm never going to be able to recover if this goes awry. Literally, every single one of these are negative thoughts, these self-limiting beliefs. These thoughts stem from fear. And this is what we call an identity fear or an ego fear. And here's the thing. These fears do not exist. They're not real. There's no lion chasing you. These fears are made up in your mind. So say it out loud. These fears are not real. Sure, they feel real. They sure do. because your mind actually tries so hard to keep you safe. It will actually want to keep you in fear because your mind wants your life to be predictable. Because if your life is predictable, then it can keep you safe. So it's got this little story in the background like, hey, this hardwired program that says, hey, keep you safe, keep you safe, keep you safe. And as we've evolved over time, there's less and less lions chasing us, but more chances of rejection or quote unquote failure. And so your mind wants to steer clear of these things. It kind of treats it like these lions, like, oh my God, there's a failure here. We have to run away from it. Because think about this. Your mind is happier the more predictable your life is. Wow. Predictable. Just what I wanted in life. I really wanted to live a nice, predictable life. And so you have to ask yourself, where is fear? Where is predictability, this big theme in my life? And I want you to ask yourself, when do you say these two words? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Let me tell you this. Fine is fear. Your life is fine. Your job is fine. Your relationship is fine. How you spend your time, that's fine. Not going after your dreams, that's fine. You can do it another day. This is your mind trying to trick you into safety and predictability because your mind says, hey, if we can predict your every move, that way we can keep you safe. The second you take a new move and we don't know what's going to happen, we can't protect you anymore. So, do you really want to be a cycle instructor? Do you really know what that's going to look like? What if you get fired? What if you're bad at it? What if the pay is not good and you can't afford your bills? All these thoughts of fear start to creep in because your subconscious mind is trying so hard to keep you safe from things that most of them, if you think about it, don't actually exist yet. So first, we're going to reframe the way we look at fear. We're not struggling with it, we're overcoming it. And we're overcoming it because we're realizing all these things about fear. You have one type of fear, that innate fear. And that's that, hey, something seriously bad is about to happen. I'm being chased by a lion. But then everything else, these fake fears, yes, they feel real, but you're going to start viewing them as fake fears. And because this fear is different, it also has a different indicator. And these fake fears don't pop up because something bad is about to happen. It just pops up because something different is about to happen. And your mind doesn't like different because remember, different is not predictable. So you're going to reframe it. Anytime fear pops up when you look behind you and you don't see a lion chasing you, you're going to see this as, oh, something bad's not about to happen. Something different, something big is about to happen. And you can actually loop in expecting good things. Hey, something big and something good is about to happen. Oh, wow. Okay. So you're going to have this hard conversation with somebody to become a stronger person. That's different. You're going to apply for a new job that would require a different schedule and you to do different things. It's just different. You're going to make a change in your life because what was good enough for you before isn't anymore. You've changed your mind. That's just different. So reframe the indicator of fear. It doesn't mean something bad's about to happen. It means something different. Something big is about to happen. Okay, here's the thing. Different still sounds scary. It does. And I don't know how many times we have to learn this lesson, but I will say you only learn the lesson if you practice it. So we're going to start practicing this. Because here's the funny thing is, I read that book years ago, and I'm telling you, the second I realized I was living my worst case scenario, my plan B, I literally quit my job the next day. I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't be living this plan B life. And I just quit on this whim. I said, I'm going to do it. I'll figure it out later. And I did. I did figure it out later. Maybe it wasn't the most responsible way to do it, but it did work out for me. as things typically do, right? Start identifying as somebody who things work out for. It just helps you make a move in the right direction. And the funny thing is, I got divorced officially and quit my job in the same month. And I moved across town. I started a whole different job. I had a whole new schedule. I was on my own for the first time in years. I lived in a different place. I was in an apartment on my own. And what happens is if you don't consistently practice overcoming fear, it starts to feel bigger and bigger and bigger again. And even years later, I would find myself in these scary situations and I was unable to pull the trigger. It's like, how does that happen? I just made this huge move. I got divorced and quit my job and moved my entire life and had this whole brand new life years prior. And now here I was stuck in the same position, afraid to make a move. And it's because I didn't practice it. So I'm going to give you this exercise that you can practice. And you can do it on big things, you can do it on little things, but you're going to practice overcoming your fear because, again, you're not identifying as somebody who struggles with fear. I'm identifying as someone who overcomes fear. I'm overcoming fear. And if I am overcoming fear, what would I do? Versus if I'm someone who struggles with fear, what would I do? And that little mindset trick helps you practice. So you're not going to end up in the same situation where you can't get your desires because you haven't crossed over to the other side of fear, where everything is just so magical and beautiful. So it's a little exercise that you can do anytime. It's going to give you clarity on, hey, is this a good decision? Is it a bad decision? Is your mind trying to trick you? And this comes from Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Work Week. And this is exactly what led me to quitting my job the very next day, the same month that I got divorced. So here's how it happens. You're going to analyze the risk. Okay, so first thing, so you're going to map out this desire that you have. For me in the situation was, okay, my desire is to be a full-time fitness instructor. I was going to go around the country and train everybody else and write my book. And you're going to imagine yourself in this vision of your desire. And then you're going to see yourself, okay, what does this life look like if I do this? And then you're going to rank this life, this decision, this desire, whatever it is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute greatest. So for me, it was, okay, I'll be a full-time fitness instructor, writing my book. This will be great. I get to travel around being a master instructor. On a scale of 1 to 10, that sounded like a 10 to me. It was a 10. So then you're going to analyze the risk. What risks are necessary for you to achieve this or to do this, to make these steps? Okay, for me, it was, okay, I would have to quit my high-paying dental hygiene job and I'd have to move closer to these locations. And that was pretty much it. Quit my job. Okay, so what's the worst case scenario that would happen? Well, the worst case scenario for me was, well, if this doesn't work out and I can't sustain my full-time fitness career and I run out of the money that I had in my savings, that I would go back to being a dental hygienist. And how hard is that? Okay, well, actually, that's a really easy job to get. There's always job openings. It's something you can do part-time, you can temp. So it's pretty easy for me to get another dental hygiene job if everything goes awry and pretty quickly. Okay, well, that's good news. And what are the odds of all this happening? The odds of me running out of money and being really bad at spin and not being able to support myself on the numbers that I had already crunched, pretty slim. And again, if it did happen, how workable would getting that new job as a dental hygienist again be? That's actually pretty workable because, like I said, it's pretty easy. So you're going to analyze what are the risks necessary for you to achieve this desire, this decision. What's the worst case scenario that can happen? What are the odds of it happening? And then if it did happen, what would you do? How workable would it be? And then when you have all those thoughts compiled, you're going to analyze the risk and rank the risk. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest, how risky is this? And for me, in my situation, I think I put maybe a 2, maybe a 3 if I was being dramatic. Because it was, like I said, it was very easy for me to go back and get the similar type of job. So I said it's a 3. So I have my desire, I was at a 10. And then I have the risk, which is a 3. And then you're going to compare the two numbers and just do the math. Should you not continue towards your desire, you are choosing to risk losing a desire for the risk. So for me, it was a 10 for a 3. Do the math. I'm risking a 10 for a 3. And then you're going to ask yourself, how do you feel about this? And when you put it so black and white, it just made sense to me. I'm risking a 10 for a 3. And that is what inspired me to quit my job the very next day. This is a great indicator of, one, seeing how much fear is creeping in your mind, how much those fake fears are infiltrating your thought process. But it's also a really great way to analyze, am I going after exactly what I want, or am I just kind of bored where I am? For instance, let's say I wanted to leave my dental hygiene job for a different dental hygiene job. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm working 4 days a week and I only want to work 3 days a week. Okay, that desire, how much would that desire be? Well, it doesn't really align with what I ultimately want to do, because what I really wanted to do was become a full-time fitness instructor. So if I'm like, okay, well, something's not working out here, I'm not really happy, let me get a job where I work 3 days a week. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how amazing does that sound? And say, okay, well, that sounds like a 5, you know? Do I really want to go after something that's a 5? Okay, no, I think fear is actually still playing a little part here. So it's a really great exercise to see, hey, are you still kind of living in fear here? Are you not going for something really, really big? So if your desire isn't on that 8, 9, 10, maybe you dream a little bit bigger. And on the flip side, it's also a really great exercise to say, hey, you know what? You might not have a lot of this figured out yet. Like, let's say I analyzed the risk and it was not easy to get another dental hygiene job. They were very few and far between. There's not a lot of job opportunities. Maybe I didn't have money saved up. Maybe the income that I was going to be getting from full-time fitness, maybe it was a lot less. Or maybe my chances of becoming a master instructor they weren't even offering it at the time, right? Maybe that risk, okay, well, if I can't easily get a job, then maybe that risk is, let's just say it's an 8. So you're like, okay, I'm risking a 10 for an 8. Let me maybe figure some things out. Let me just go back to this plan and see, what can I work on to get to a solution? It just gets you in the right direction. But I guarantee you, most of the time, you're going to see that you're risking an 8, 9, or 10 for like a 2, 3, or 4, because your mind likes to play tricks on you to keep you safe. So that is an exercise that you can do anytime you want. You're going to take what you want. You're going to map this out. Imagine yourself, okay, what would it look like if you actually achieved this vision, this desire? On a scale of 1 to 10, what does that look like? Rank it, 10 being the greatest. And then analyze the risk. What risks are necessary for you to do this? And what's the worst case scenario? What are the odds of it actually happening? And if it does, how workable is it? And then assign a number to the risk and just compare the two numbers, see what's going on here. And you can also see, am I living my worst case scenario already? Am I already there? Ooh, because if you realize that, I promise you, you're not going to be able to stay there. You are not going to be able to stay fine. And so all of these things just help you become aware of, okay, these fears feel real. They do, but I know they're not. My mind is playing tricks on me, trying to keep me safe and predictable. But I'm not okay with that, because I have these deep-rooted desires. I have passions. I have a purpose. I have skills. I have talents. I have a life that is waiting for me. And you can go after it when you start to identify as somebody who is overcoming fear. I'm not identifying as somebody who is strapped to fear and lets fear take over. I'm not struggling with fear. No, I'm overcoming fear. And if I am somebody who is overcoming fear and I've analyzed this risk, what would I do next? So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, subscribe. I post episodes like this all the time. And of course, check out that 21-day challenge to overcome your negative thoughts that are fueling your fears. Check it out as a challenge if you want to join us live for the challenge, or as the course if you want to do it on your own time after July 22nd. But I would love to have you participate either way. Definitely send this podcast episode to somebody who you know is maybe living their plan B life, their it's fine life, somebody who is maybe strapped to that safety and predictability and complacency. I so very much appreciate every time you listen to this show, every time you share it with others. It helps you grow. It helps them grow. It helps me grow so I can continue to produce amazing episodes for y'all and get awesome guests on the show for us all to learn from. That's all I got for you today. But of course, if I could leave you with one thing, especially today, as you make those big moves, make those big scary moves, it is this: expect good things, always, and they will happen. Be sure to check out my brand new digital course, 21 Days to Positive Thoughts. Go from being consumed with negativity to actually thinking kind things about yourself in only 3 weeks. That's right. Head over to letscreateyourfate.com or check out the link in the notes to get 21 Days to Positive Thoughts now. And for a limited time, you can get the course for only $29 when you take my free masterclass, Manifesting 101. That's right, 2 courses for only $29. Download them today and start creating your best life ever. That's all I got for you today. But of course, if I could leave you with just one thing, it would be this: expect good things always, and they will happen.